Happy Motivational Monday. My name is Kira. I am your host, and we have the lovely Rakia here with us for today's conversation. You'll get an intro to her in just a moment, but it's a whole new year, and it's been a while since we've seen each other. So I think before we even get started, I want to know who's new here. So if this is your first time and you're like, I'm just getting started with life guides, drop 111 in the chat. Or if you are just a lover of life, guys, you've been a part of the work that we've done, you've seen the results and the change in your life, drop 222 in the chat. And for those of you who have been here a while, you know that I thrive off of your participation, your feedback, your questions, your comments, your numbers in the chat. It's helpful because I you don't we're just all looking at a computer screen, right? So it's nice to be able to have that back and forth interaction. And a lot of you are back from 2025. Congratulations. It's so wonderful to have you here for another year. And welcome, Phyllis, for your first time. We're so happy to have you. Today's conversation is a really exciting conversation. We're talking about the forgotten art of sleep. And when I was looking at 2026 and what we wanted to put together for this season, um, I really wanted to start having a lot of the real conversations about the truth of what actually is going to make a significant impact in our lives, but also the things that we maybe struggle with every day that we don't necessarily have the full support or guidance for. So this month is sleep and hydration, and next month is stress and anxiety management. And those two I'm highlighting right now, obviously, because they're the starting points of this whole year. But when we looked at how can we have a well life, how can we feel well, how can we be well, how can we show up well, all of the science leads to those three things. Sleep, hydration, and stress management are going to be the top three things that are going to increase your longevity in life, give you a longer lifespan, and where you can feel good, happy, and whole during that time. Obviously, life happens outside of all of that, but Rakia and I have both done a lot of work with sleep. Her more than I. You're going to learn about her. She's amazing. But the proof is in the pudding. The more sleep you get, the better functioning you have, the more in control of your emotions you are. The list goes on and on. So we have a semi-new schedule of events for this year. Motivational Monday is staying exactly as it is. We will not have a session on Martin Luther King Day this year. So we will have one Monday off one Monday off this month. But the deep dive and the deep dive mentorship are our deeper programmings. Motivational Monday is a quick 30-minute where you dive in, we have the conversation, we make your Monday feel good, we give you a little bit of information to think about, and we move on with our lives. The deep dive is the main topic for the month. So this month it's going to be sleep and hydration, but we spend an hour diving deep into it. So it's more of that full, whole conversation where we get into the nitty gritty of a lot of the deeper layers. So the deep dive is on the last Wednesday of every month, other than November and December, but we'll talk about that when the holidays come again. It's not that time anymore. We just went through it. And also put in the chat how your time off was. Maybe you had some time to yourself. Maybe you just were with family. Maybe you adopted a new dog and chilled at your home with your dogs the entire time, like me. Who knows? But the deep dive mentorship the deep dive is the last Wednesday of the month, and then the deep dive mentorship is the following day. So they are back-to-back events, and the reason why is because I wanted this deep dive to be a really robust conversation, and then I wanted you all to have the immediate feedback of, okay, we've had these conversations all month, now we're doing the deep dive, and now I want a mentor to help me see where are the places that I can get started and eventually grow on your journey. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat for you all to register for all of Life Guide's events. They're all very specifically curated. They're always co-hosted by one of our certified life guides, just like Rakia. And we do a lot of work. A lot of you saw improved relationships in 2025. We ended the year with a financial well-being series. A lot of you started paying off debt, started looking at investing, canceled subscriptions. We're saving thousands of dollars a year just from the work that we did together. A lot of you learned about self-love, and a lot of you also learned what it means to be a human and to not be a machine. So we've grown a lot, and we're at a brand new starting point where we get to grow even further. So we have the beautiful, the wonderful Rakia here, and her superpower is that she empowers early career managers to navigate challenges, build confidence, and foster high performing teams through practical skills and a growth mindset. And this woman has so much information. She's experienced so much. So, Rakia, can you say hi and tell us a little bit about today's topic and why it matters?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone, and happy Motivational Monday. Kira, thank you so much for inviting me to chat with you today about this topic that is so very important to me. A little bit about me and why I'm so dedicated to well-being in general. Uh, about 10 years ago, I suffered a mild burnout. And the very first thing my physician told me is, Madam, you don't need medication, you need to sleep. And that began my journey and my deep dive into this study. Just as a background, I am a life sciences professional. I am a well-being wizard and also a certified life guide. So I took some time just to deep dive into the forgotten art of sleep and found a wealth of information that I am delighted to share with you all. Um, I love this topic so much, as I shared with Kira, and it gave me a little chuckle. In 2024, I wrote a children's book about bedtime, and it's about bedtime routines. And I assure everyone here, I had no idea Kira was going to reach out to me about the quality of sleep. So I'm happy to share everything that I found, how good sleep affects our physical as well as our emotional and mental capabilities.
I am so excited to have her here. If you didn't mention that you were an author, I was going to mention that you were an author because she specifically wrote this book about sleep, and I think if I learned from a child how important sleep was, it could have changed my life. And now as an adult, I'm having to undo so many patterns, especially I was an entrepreneur for a significant amount of time. I ran a social media business. I ran this big international business, and I was really proud of working 16 hours a day and getting very little sleep. And I would go to bed at midnight and wake up at 4:45, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so productive. I'm so good." But when you look at the science and what that does to you, that is so detrimental in so many ways. And it's no wonder that I was stressed out. And it's no wonder that I never felt like the work that I did was enough because in my own physical body, I wasn't giving my body enough. So I used to have this whole entire narrative of like sleep doesn't matter and the less sleep I get, the better I am. And you'll see in different cultures, they don't have that. And one of our sessions later on this month, we'll actually be talking about more of like the ancient histories of sleep and what different cultures have for their sleep routines. But for us, we're kind of taught to demonize sleep and that sleep isn't important and that your productivity is more important than your sleep. And for those of you who are live on this session, drop 333 in the chat if you can relate to that, because I know that I'm not alone in that. And I know that that's a continual narrative that a lot of us have to continue to fight, especially with urgency culture, with burnout, with so many different things. Um, I think one of the things that I have to continue to remind myself is that I work to live my life. I do
Yes.
not live my life to work. And I've had to decondition from a lot of American programming. Thank goodness I've got island girl blood in me. And I'm like, all I want to do is lay in a hammock and be massaged and get a tan all day because there's that part of me that challenges the other part of me that wants to work all day, wants to
Yes.
hustle, wants to do more, wants to push, wants to see what I can accomplish. And like at the end of the day, when is enough enough, right? And when are we
Exactly.
pouring back into ourselves? So, Rakia, I know that we wanted to dive a little bit into the stages of sleep.
Yes. Yes.
And can you take us through the whole process?
Absolutely, I'd be delighted to. So there are four stages of sleep, and I'm going to tell you the length of time. You know, one thing I wanted to connect with all this, we all have these little wearable devices. I'm attached to my watch, you have your Aura ring, And it gives us this information. I don't know if everyone here sleeps with these devices on. Sometimes I will nod off with my watch on, and I'll see that I, had X amount of hours of stage one sleep and X amount of hours of REM sleep. And I was found myself looking and I said, well, what's that all about? And what's the value in these different stages? What are the differentiators? So when you enter stage one of your sleep cycle, it's a light sleep. It lasts maybe 1 to 5 minutes. You're leaving wakefulness and you're just inching into sleep. Then you get to your stage two of the sleep cycle, which lasts generally 10 to 25 minutes, which is a deeper sleep. And during that deeper sleep, your body temperature drops. You lose sense of place. Your brain waves slow, eye movements slow down. And then that's when you're sort of lulling into that deep sleep phase. But then you get to stage three. That's where you want to be. Stage three is your deep sleep state. It lasts 20 to 40 minutes. And that's where your tissue repairs. That's where dreaming, dreaming is more in rapid eye movement sleep, but your energy gets restored, your muscles relax. This is where you're in that sleep that if someone is calling your name, you don't even hear them. They got to sort of kind of shake you to get you out. And that's where all of the hormones get released and your brain waves are even slower and your muscles relax and your brain tissue gets repaired. So that is a very crucial stage of the sleep cycle. And I'm putting an asterisk on stage three because you want to avoid stimulants. So, how many of us will say, oh, I can't drink coffee after such and such hour because then I can't sleep at night? Or, even with alcohol. So, it's recommended that if you're going to take any type of stimulant, try to do it at least 2 or 3 hours before you foresee going to sleep so it doesn't disrupt your sleep cycle and that you can benefit from that stage three sleep. Then the next section and the last part is that rapid eye movement sleep. And that usually lasts up to an hour. And then that's where you're dreaming. And it's good for cognitive memory and learning. So that's where you're processing your experiences throughout your day and you're creating new memories, and that's what happens when you have that REM sleep. Now these 4 sleep cycles, they reoccur, so you can go through these sleep cycles 4 to 6 times over a 7 to 9 hour period, which is the recommended amount of hours that we should be sleeping.
I have a question, and it's not something
Yes.
that you and I inherently talked about before this session, but it's making me think of people who are either light sleepers or toss and
Mm-hmm.
turn a lot throughout the night, with
Yeah.
people who fall into either of those categories. And you all can drop 444 in the chat if that's you. Are they missing the benefits of stage three deep sleep and then stage four REM sleep?
Potentially. Potentially. There are a lot of factors that could contribute to why someone could be a light sleeper. Like I said, I work in life sciences and healthcare. So sometimes it's medication, and you have certain pills that you have to take at night. So maybe it would be good to speak with your physician and say, well, when you say at night, get a little bit more clarity. Is it right before bed? Because people, make assumptions, and or maybe that's their routine. I have my pills on my nightstand with my water. This way I won't forget to take it. But they're not realizing that taking it right before bed just might disrupt their sleep. So those are like little activities or things discussions that we can have to see, well, why am I a light sleeper? Am I drinking coffee myself? Coffee doesn't bother me. I'm one of these odd people. I can drink a hot cup of caffeinated coffee and go right to sleep and have no problems. But other people, like I said, 2 p.m., they're like, keep it away from me. I will not sleep at night. So a discussion with your position is always encouraged.
Yeah, and also self-study too. I'm the type of
Yes.
person where I will always gather information. I definitely
Yes.
have like a hunter and gather part of me where I'm like, give me all of the information, but
Yeah.
also I want to try things out. I want to test things. I want to start
Mhm.
slowly removing some things. So if you heard in this conversation her talking about stimulants, and maybe you're like, oh, I have a glass of wine every night and I don't sleep that well, maybe
Mhm.
I start changing some habits. Maybe I just start testing things, and it doesn't have to be this end all be all. But
Mhm.
when we start to realize how directly correlated sleep is to longevity,
Yes.
um, we start to realize, okay, if I want to live a long life, if I want to be well for most of my years, if I want to have memories and be able to do what I want to do without being restricted, then the choices I make today are going to impact the future. And it's interesting. I'm listening to the Diary of a CEO podcast with James Clear, the author
Right.
of Atomic Habits.
Right.
And James Clear they talked about, the when you eat a cookie, when you have a
Mhm.
plate of cookies in front of you, it's so easy to eat them.
Yeah.
And the question that was asked was, how do we make it so that we can have those negative consequences of eating the cookie be more of a response that presents itself right away? Because the
Mhm.
good part of having the cookie is we get to enjoy it, we get the sugar, we get the sweets, all the things.
Yeah.
But long term, maybe we're gaining weight, maybe it doesn't match our goals. And one of the things that he said that's been ringing in my head, I'm listening to
Mhm.
the podcast for the third time this week, is that the negative results also sometimes
Yeah.
are delayed too. So you have to figure that out and figure out where you want to be in your life, what you
Yeah.
want to experience, the life you want to live, and then how to
Yes.
grow from there.
You,
Another thing that I wanted to say too is that
mhm.
when we're talking about the cycles of sleep, the longer that you are in sleep, the more time that you spend in the deep sleep and the REM stage. So if
Yeah.
you're the type of person who's only getting 4 hours of sleep
Yes.
and you're like, oh, I'm fine because I'm hitting that 40-minute mark where I'm
Right.
getting into the deep sleep,
Yes.
you have longer periods of
Yeah.
being in those windows, the deeper and longer that you're sleeping as well. So that's why the
Exactly.
length of time matters.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about, yeah, the length of time and ways that we can boost our quality sleep?
Well, as far as the length of time, I think you've said it all, because between what you've just stated and the fact that I said, you can have 4 to 6 cycles, it's covered in that. So the more sleep you get, the better benefits you'll experience long term. But what I really would like to finish off with is some tips for how to improve your quality of sleep. I want our viewers here to be able to take something, and I have a whole lot of tips here in my tool chest, and if it doesn't apply, let it fly, but if it does, try it out. So, one, we have our biological clock, right? We can reset our biological clock by going to sleep and waking up at the same time every day. Now, that takes a certain level of discipline, and also outside factors, what type of job you have. Some people do shift work, some people have, varying schedules, so that may not be the best tool. Get outside, get at least 30 minutes of daylight. And, I'm a remote worker. So if you leave me to my own devices, I will stay in my office with the doors closed and not even think about going outside unless I have to. So sometimes it's just about being mindful and saying, okay, I want to ensure that long term benefit that, at 10 o'clock tonight when I go to bed, that my body is, going to follow suit. Let me get out here and get a 30 minutes of daylight, whether it's going for a walk or doing some activity. Um, be mindful of your workout schedules. So again, some people work out in the morning, which is great, but if you're working out in the evening, try to do your workout maybe 2 hours before you go to bed. So it's not directly, you come from the workout, you come home, you shower, and you get into bed, and then you wonder why you're not sleeping. Your heart rate is pumping, you're energized. It's going to take a little bit of time. We've spoke about the stimulants and medications, what you eat, you know? And again, it's about being mindful and disciplined, get a light snack before bed, having a full, rich meal. I find myself, which is hilarious, if I eat any sugar before bed, it's for sure I'm having a nightmare. I don't know why it happens, but I have to stay away from sugar. But get a light snack instead of a heavy meal. Instead of the pizza in the fridge or something of that nature. Um, be mindful if you're a napper, try not to take a nap after 3 p.m. If you're the type of person that wants to sleep around 10 p.m., take a hot bath. Uh, make your room temperature cool, not cold, cool. It makes a difference. Um, if you're tossing and turning in your bed for more than 20 minutes, get up, do something, tire yourself out a little bit. That happened to me last night, like I shared with Kira, and I realized I couldn't go back to sleep, so I put on Audible, and I fell asleep within 15 minutes. So just try to keep yourselves occupied. If you are in a state where maybe you're worried about something and your mind just won't shut off about this thing that you're worried about, try to parry it with some positive thoughts or some thoughts of gratitude, just to push away the worry. You can deal with the worry in the morning, but right now you're trying to go to sleep. And last but not least, deep breathing always helps. Some deep breathing from the abdominal area, and that can help just calm the body and put it in a sleep state. So those are my tips.
Some of those really have planted a seed inside of me. I love this, especially it's interesting because I don't know if I regularly have nightmares, but I regularly have weird dreams. And I've started telling myself the affirmation before, like while I'm falling asleep, of I have happy, positive dreams because it's just like weird always involving like kids from my high school. I've been out of high school for 12 years. The fact that I'm still having dreams and like these are
Mhm.
foundational things in general, which we all know, but I'm like, oh, maybe it is related to what I'm eating before bed. And I've been studying like
Yes.
glucose and how that affects our body and like all the other things too. So
Yes.
it's starting to piece together so many different things. But I think it's such a good plethora of tips that you've provided us that will give us a starting point because
Yes.
for a lot of us, we want to get better at sleeping or we want to understand that there's a way to get better at sleeping. And I want
Yes.
to show you all, for those of you who might be interested in wearable devices, I'm going to see if I can pull up my, yeah, I'm going to see if I can pull up my Aura Ring and I can show you what it looks like, what I look at every morning. This is my sleep yesterday, and it tells me my total sleep, my efficiency of sleep, my restfulness, REM sleep, deep sleep, how long it took me to fall asleep, and then my timing. It tells me how long I was in bed, what my total sleep was. And then it even goes into the deeper details of what times during the night I was in what stages of sleep. So this is some of the data that you can start to get. And then last night I barely got any sleep, and you can see everything is in the red. Hold on. Everything's in the red. Everything's not happy with me. I got 3.5 hours of sleep last night. It was a crazy, crazy, crazy night. But these are the things where you can start gathering your own data and where you can start understanding and seeing, is what I'm doing actually working? So, just a suggestion. I love my Aura Ring. I have a generation 3. It tracks your menstrual cycle, your sleep, your stress, your activity, your calories, all of the things. And if this is something that piques your interest, and if you're in a place right now where you're like, oh, I want to start optimizing my health, then maybe having some data to match the work that you're doing might be really helpful for you. I never thought I would ever wear a wearable device, but here I am. So times change, you never know. But
Yes.
we have one question in the chat, Rakia, before we come to a
Yeah.
close. Um, Kirsten asks, are there any thoughts on what causes the consistent waking up at 2 or 3 a.m.?
That sounds like a biological clock issue. If it's something that is repetitive and you do it often, sometimes, let's say in my case, I'm a woman of a certain age. So I will have to get up to go to the restroom. And it's usually around 1 p.m. And so now, even though I may have that under control, I still wake up at 1 p.m. My eyes will pop open, and then I'll say, no, I'm going to sleep, I'm fine. And so it's about mindfulness. If you have no reason to be up at 2 or 3 in the morning, if you've had a schedule change and there's no longer a need for that opening, then you have to retrain yourself to sleep through the night. That's
That
generally
is
it.
such good feedback. And also the thing too, our brains get really receptive to light and our brains get incredibly
Mm,
receptive to habits. We are
yeah,
built for habits. So if you're
yeah,
waking up at 2 or 3 a.m. and your default is to go to your phone, that's
yes,
telling your brain every night we're going to actually fully wake up, and your
yeah,
body is prepared for that every single night when you go to sleep. So
yeah.
look at the habits that you're doing during that time frame as well. Obviously, there's the question of like, are there certain supplements that you could take to help your sleep? Absolutely.
Mhm. Yes,
Magnesium is so important.
yes,
Ashwagandha taken at night is great for lowering your cortisol.
yeah,
But also, if you're playing your little games on your phone in the middle of the night, then you're
yes,
training your brain to get not only the
yes,
light, but the dopamine, the satisfaction. There's so many factors that play
yes.
into that. So start considering what that overall cycle looks like for you.
Absolutely. Experts do say if you can, to leave your devices outside of your room if you're having trouble sleeping, because like you mentioned, even that light can disrupt your sleep. So you're not even on your phone, but just a light from your phone can disrupt your sleep as well. So, very good point.
Absolutely. Well, we are coming to an end, everyone. This has been such a good conversation. For those of you who are just getting started with life guides, we have our events, which are our group sessions where a guide will always be present. But the deeper layer of what we do at Life Guides is we've got live mentorship with our guides because most people know where they're at and they know where they want to go. They just don't know how to get there. So we've got our guides who help you get there, whether it's having better quality sleep, whether it's starting to look at your habits over your entire life and being like, okay, what do I want to optimize? Where do I want to do better? Maybe you're looking to develop in your career. Maybe you want to get a little bit more spiritual. Maybe you want someone to teach you meditation. We've got guides for that. So I'm going to drop Rakia's profile in the chat. You guys can register for a session directly with her. It is a choose your own adventure experience where you tell her what you're looking for and she'll bring her guidance and insight to the table and help you get to where you want to go. Your call could be 60 minutes long. It could be 15 minutes long. It could be once a week. It could be once a month. It could be, again, it's your journey. You have unlimited sessions with unlimited guides over an unlimited amount of topics. So, my gift to you is sharing what Life Guides is so you can use it in your life to help you grow and become the best version of yourself. So, as we are coming to the end of this session, Rakia, do you have any final words for the group?
It was just lovely to be here with you all and to discuss this topic that's so near and dear to my heart. I encourage everyone to be mindful about your sleep routines and be reflective and reviewing certain actions that you can put into place to improve your quality of sleep going forward. And if you'd like to discuss it further with me, like Kira said, you have my contact information. I'd love to chat with you.
We are so happy to have you all here. Register for all of our upcoming events. Next Monday, we do have Motivational Monday. We're most likely going to do a little bit of hybrid of sleep and hydration next Monday. So we'll be diving in a little bit. And outside of that, we hope that you have a great start to your year. We hope that this Motivational Monday has set your week on a positive trend. And maybe you catch a few more Z's this evening. I dropped our link in the chat for you to register for our events, and there should be a survey that pops up at the end once the session ends. So please fill it out. We love your feedback. It's incredibly helpful for everything that we do. Have a beautiful, beautiful week, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.